Perfect. Welcome, everyone. We are so appreciative of you all being here. We are going to have Lily Tran speaking today, and she is one of our finance managers and is a wealth of knowledge on the topic that we'll speak on. Please feel free to unmute yourself anytime. If you want to ask a question, you can put your videos up like we have. Whatever you're comfortable with. It's a great way to connect with each other. And then if you want to, you can always put the questions in the chat box, which I'll be monitoring throughout the session. And I'll make sure that we answer as many questions as we can. If we don't answer everything, not a problem. Put the question in the chat box and I'll make sure that Lily or the finance team gets back to us on the answer. And then I should be able to email you guys out within 24 to 48 hours. So Lily, the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to kind of quickly introduce myself. My name is Lily Tran, and I am the U.S. Finance Manager at Dermalogica. So thank you for joining this call today. I know the finance team doesn't really get a chance to interact directly with the PSTs too often, so we've been very excited and honored to have this opportunity to kind of host these workshops for you guys. So hopefully you guys have been finding them useful. Just kind of,
sorry.
Oh, sorry. So just kind of wanted to state that we understand that this is a difficult time for you guys, and a lot of you guys are probably in a position where you have to make some tough decisions, like whether or not you have to kind of let go of your staff, if you are able to pay for rent for the upcoming months. So just kind of want to let you know that a lot of you guys are sole proprietors, that there are a lot of options out there for you guys, and that you're not just limited to maybe just one. So throughout the presentation, I'll kind of be giving suggestions on what you can use together to kind of make the best out of your current situation. So kind of just giving you a rough agenda of what we'll be running through. I'll be going through some financial tips, kind of good to know information during these times. I'll also be covering federal support and state support. I think last week Stuart did a session on California, and Amber covered, I think, New York, New Jersey a couple days ago. Today I'll be covering Illinois. It's okay if you don't kind of fall into these states, because there is a large chunk of the presentation that will be dedicated to covering federal support, which you guys all can benefit from. If we have time at the end, there's also some general knowledge that we have for financial statements that we can share. This is around the cash flow, the P&L, the balance sheet. If not, I know Stuart did a session on the cash flow already, and it's a very great and detailed walkthrough, which we will also link from the Dermalogica in this Together website. At the end, we'll also be taking some Q&A, but if anytime during the presentation you have a question, feel free to just, like Celeste said, just type into the chat box and she'll let me know. I can't guarantee that I'll know all of the answers, but if I'm not sure, I promise I will make note of it, and I'll try to get back to you by the end of today or tomorrow. So here for the financial tips, I think right now is a best time to really have a cash flow plan. It's so important, and I cannot stress it enough. The more cash you have at this time, the longer you can stay afloat. So this kind of gives you visibility of all the cash that's coming in versus all the cash that's going out. So expenses, rent, utilities, property taxes, things like that, and it really helps you understand where you are at financially. So if kind of like, if you take a quick look at the screenshot here, this is, we have kind of created a cash flow template that you can download from our site as well. This is just such a simple sheet of all the cash that's coming in. This is all the cash that's coming out, just to help you understand where your net cash flow is at the end of each day. So I think we can all say that the cash that's coming in is pretty limited at this time. So it is important to kind of implement an emergency budget and really review your current expenses and see where you can cut. So things to look at, kind of what are the variable costs that you do have control over, and like where can you reduce those costs in the short term. For anything that's maybe fixed costs such as rent, I think this is a great time to kind of be proactive with communicating with your vendors, your lenders, your suppliers. If you foresee this being an issue regarding payments, this will definitely be a difficult conversation to have, but you know, a lot of companies are going through the same thing at this time, and they'll be offering support in different ways, so it doesn't hurt to try to see what you can negotiate. We actually have a template, like a letter template that you can use that our legal team kind of created if you need help writing a letter for your landlord. So that's something that we can share with you guys as well. As far as government support, please take advantage of all the government relief packages that are available. We'll be covering those today. There's also statewide assistance such as unemployment benefits that you guys can apply to. Another thing that you can look at would be insurance coverage. Some insurance might cover business interruption insurance, where that might help you kind of cover some of that lost revenue if your operations has been disruptive. I just want to be clear that all policies are different. So definitely worthwhile to kind of have a talk with your insurance company to see what kind of coverage you have. It might be also worthwhile to even look at your own personal insurance, such as car insurance. A lot of them might be offering some relief right now, since most people are working from home and not driving into work. So what I want to start with is there are two types of loans that the SBA have designed for this COVID-19. So this is, we have like a quick chart over here against this. So the two loans that I'll be covering today would be the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. And the second one would be the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. This is a good chart to use as a reference, but I'll be going through the details throughout the presentation anyway, so we can come back to kind of do a recap. But you can be eligible to use both. I think you just have to keep in mind that you can't use both for the same purpose. So if you use one for payroll, you can't use the other one for payroll. So I'll be starting with the PPP. This is the one that I would probably suggest using first, because there is a limited fund and it is a first come first served basis. So all small businesses are eligible for this loan. It's geared for many small businesses like your own that are under 500 people. It does have a low interest rate of 1% and a maturity rate of 2 years. Deferred loan payments for the first 6 months, and there's no collateral or guarantees required for this loan. The great thing about this loan is that if you kind of follow the guidelines of this loan, it can essentially be forgiven and turned into a non-taxable grant. So it does have to be requested after the 8 weeks. Another interesting highlight of this program is that it gives you a chance to rehire your staff. So let's say at the beginning of all of this, you kind of had to shut down your business and let your staff go because you didn't think you would be able to afford it. This kind of allows you to rehire them, and you won't be penalized or have a reduction in wages for your loan calculation if you do this by June 30th. So I think this loan has already been offered, or you can already start applying for this loan as of last Friday. So starting April 30th, small businesses and sole proprietors, starting April 10th, which is tomorrow, it'll be open to independent contractors and self-employed individuals. How you can apply will be through any existing SBA lender. So I would definitely be checking in with your banks. I know that a lot of banks are requiring you to be a client with them in order to apply. And there are also some banks that are accepting all applications, but they're kind of prioritizing their current clients. So I would suggest doing this as soon as you can. How the funds that need to be spent with this loan to be forgiven is that 75% will be spent on payroll and employee benefits, while the remaining 25% you can use towards like rent, utilities, and interest on mortgage obligations incurred on or before February 15th. So a great tip to do during this time is to open a separate bank account in order to hold the loan in there, so that all of your spending and everything you can keep track pretty easily, because you will need to provide that kind of documentation when you're requesting for the loan forgiveness after the 8 weeks. So how the loan calculation is kind of determined is the general calculation is kind of taking your monthly average payroll cost in 2019 and kind of multiplying it by 2.5. And then I'll be pretty much going through over a couple examples and kind of talking you through how to calculate a couple of these different scenarios that might apply to you guys. If you weren't in business before June 30th, then I think the lenders will look at your cost in January and February of this year. One thing to remember, that payroll cost, it pretty much includes everything, which is nice because it even includes tips and commissions. Please note that there is a cap of 100K per employee. So if we just look on the screen, you can see this is kind of like a scenario of how to calculate the loan size if you are a sole proprietor. So this means that it's just you and the business and you do not have any employees. So here you can just see the simple calculation of your 2019 payroll cost being $72,000. And then how they're taking that is dividing that by 12 to kind of come to your monthly average cost of $6,000, where then they will multiply by 2.5 for your potential loan amount of $15,000. So like I mentioned earlier, if you look at the second example, if you get, if the total annual pay is $120,000, which is over the 100K max, you can only calculate that based off of the 100K. So then the monthly average cost is the 100K divided by 12, getting to you to your $8,333, and then your potential loan multiply, which is multiplied by the 2.5. So another scenario that we have, so let's say you do have your business with employees, how they're going to be calculating that is the sum of your employees. So here, if you look, there's an employee number one, which has $71,400 as their total payroll cost for 2019. And then for employee two, you have $79,200. The sum of those would be the $150,600, and then dividing that over the 12 months, that comes to your monthly average cost, about $12,550. Where you then multiply by the 2.5 to get to your potential loan. So then for, if you are a sole proprietor, this is kind of like a question that we're getting a lot, is that if you do run your business on your own, you are considered sole proprietorship. But one of the popular questions that we're getting is, what if I don't have an annual salary? So you're not really giving yourself a set salary. And so then in this case, your salary then needs to be determined by your business income or your net profit. So what this means is that if your business was operational last year and you have already filed your taxes for 2019, then you can find this number on your Schedule C on line 31. So I'll show you an example of what that looks like. So then it would look, your Schedule C will look something like this, and you'll be pulling that number from line 31. Sorry. So then how that gets calculated is you'll have that net profit number, and your loan calculation will then be that net profit divided by 12 to get to your monthly average payroll expense. So again, the situation also has a cap of 100K. So if your net profit is higher than that, then you can only claim up to the 100K divided by the 12 months. So if you have not filed your taxes for 2019, you can also find this number on the net profit line of your income statement. So for the loan forgiveness portion, you do have to request for the loan forgiveness after the 8 weeks. It does not come automatically. The instructions for this is not too clear at the moment since the process has not happened yet, but just kind of give you guys a heads up of what documentation would be needed. So then you can kind of prepare beforehand. I saw that you probably will need payroll processor records, payroll tax filings, payroll tax forms from 2019, any 1099s, income and expenses from a sole proprietorship. And then also the lender must make a decision within 60 days of your forgiveness application submission. And also just,
Sorry, Lily. The only other thing I think that they're requesting is, and I know this is very random, a picture of your driver's license front and back.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know.
Yep.
Assuming that everyone has that.
I know.
So again, if you don't follow the 75-25 guidelines on how to use the funds, then that portion that falls out of that 75-25% will not be forgiven, and that portion will be treated as a loan at the 1% interest rate. So next, I'll be going over the second federal support, that is the economic injury disaster loan. So this loan was also pretty much created to serve people that are affected by natural disasters. So in this case, COVID-19. They are allowing sole proprietors and independent contractors to apply for this as well. With this loan, you can borrow up to $2 million. However, the loan amount is to be determined by the SBA, kind of based on your need and repayment capacity. So it's not so much like the PPP where we have a specific calculation to follow. However, just wanted to mention that $25,000 is the amount that you can borrow without collateral. Borrowers can also receive a 10K grant within 3 days of applying for the EIDL, and you do not need to pay this grant back even if your loan is denied. And a question that a lot of people have is that, are you able to apply for both the PPP and the EIDL? The answer is yes, but you cannot use the funds for the same purpose. So if you have already received an EIDL, you have the option to refinance that grant into a PPP, since it does have like a lower interest rate, and any amount that was given to you as a grant under the EIDL will then reduce the amount that is forgiven under the PPP. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. The next slide. So kind of how does the EIDL kind of compare to the PPP? So you can apply directly with the SBA instead of a lender. The approval process can be a little longer, as they do have to have someone kind of checking your credit score, your credit ratings, your income statements, your tax returns to kind of determine that need of how much of a loan that you'll be receiving. And then loans over 25K do require a collateral. and any loans over 200K require a guarantee, which the PPP does not require. Also, the interest rate is a little higher at 3.75 for businesses where the PPP is only 1%. Deferred payments for the EIDL is 12 months, where the PPP only has, I think it's deferring payments for 6 months. The term of the loan can be up to 30 years, where the PPP is 2 years. So I think the EIDL, the loans are definitely a lot longer. I think they're like 15, 30 years to kind of make it more affordable for small businesses.
All right. Lily, do we want to see if anybody has any questions or anything? Because I know that was that's like a big chunk of especially what everybody's kind of gearing up for. So does anybody have any questions about the PPP loan? I know it's kind of nice because we've done this now 3 times. So Lily's been able to kind of incorporate, which has been really great. But does anybody have any questions relevant maybe to your own situation or anything like that? Please feel free. You can chat in the box. You can unmute yourself. And then we'll let Lily go into the kind of the second half of this, going into like the Family First bill and maybe show some cash flow and everything else. So feel free to unmute yourself at any time.
Yeah, this is definitely like a great kind of stopping point after going through both of the loans. So in case anyone has questions, this is a good time to kind of see where you can apply the two. Perfect.
So Samantha is asking, so independent contractors can apply for the first loan?
Yes. You're talking about the PPP, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I think that opens for you guys tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Wonderful. All right. All right, Lily, you can continue and then I can just chime in if I see any more.
Great. So now we'll be kind of heading into the Families First bill. So this is not really something that we're kind of suggesting as a great option of support, but I think this is just more to bring to your attention that by law, like small businesses under 500 people must kind of, they're obligated to follow by these rules if you have employees on your books effective as April 1st. So kind of what this bill entitles is if you have employees that do get diagnosed with the COVID-19 or they're awaiting diagnosis of the COVID-19, you're obligated to pay 100% of the 80 hours of paid sick leave. And then if you have employees that have to take care of a loved one that has COVID-19, you are obligated to pay the 80 hours of paid sick leave, but at 66%. And then if any employees, let's say they have children and their schools are closed and you have to kind of stay home, then this gets extended up to the 10 weeks of expanded leave and you're entitled to pay 66% of that as well. However, there is a possible exception for businesses that are less than 50 people. So by kind of following these rules and like paying out these hours of paid sick leave, the support that you are entitled to is a 1-for-1 tax credit for all wages, which includes healthcare, and that can be claimed immediately, and the IRS will process these funds.
Lily, we have a quick question. Catherine would like to know, can they use the loan to buy products and equipment?
Yes. So I think the EIDL, you can use that loan to use for like equipment and I think working capital.
Right. Okay, perfect.
Is that all the questions?
Perfect. You are good to go.
Okay, great. So next, I'll be kind of going into the state support. so I have the state of Illinois where I'll be kind of covering kind of unemployment and the different kind of state programs that are available for Illinois. So one of the options obviously is the unemployment insurance. In general, to qualify for unemployment, you must have lost your job through no fault of your own. You need to be available for work. You need to be actively seeking for work, and you must not be filed for any type of misconduct. So due to the kind of COVID-19, this has been expanded. So now you can actually apply for unemployment if you were laid off due to the COVID-19, as long as you are prepared to kind of return to work. Also, there have been temporary boosts that you can now receive due to the COVID-19, which are an extra $600 a week on top of your usual calculated benefit. Also, usually, I think there is like a 1 week waiting period that you had to wait before you can apply, and now that has also been waived. You are also able to get an additional 13 weeks of unemployment insurance on top of the usual 26 weeks for Illinois, so that gives you a total of 39 weeks that you can apply for. Also, based on previous sessions, there was a lot of questions around if you're able to apply for unemployment insurance along with the PPP or the EIDL. And I think as long as you're not receiving the funds, so if you're not still employed and receiving funds for payroll, you can. If you want to use the PPP for the loan forgiveness for the 8 weeks, a possible option is that if you decide to let go of your staff afterwards, then you and your staff can apply for the unemployment insurance after that. So then for Illinois, there are 2 types of emergency loan funds that are available. These are new loans that were kind of created to help small businesses at a fairly low interest rate. The first one is for the state of Illinois, but for anyone outside the city of Chicago. So then the second one I'll be going is for the city of Chicago. I think the reason why they kind of kept these 2 separate is to make sure that the funds kind of are distributed evenly and it's not all going to one specific area. So for the Illinois Small Business Emergency Loan Fund, this is available as of April 1st. And you have to apply through a local lender. For this, you can receive up to $50,000, which I think is determined by your average monthly revenue before the COVID-19. This is a new loan, and I was talking to a couple of specialists in Illinois. I think they're still trying to figure out the details based on need. So far, I think it's been a range of 1 to 3 months, but they're still kind of determining that based on the funds available. So with this, the loan guidelines are, it's a 5-year term at a 3% annual interest. The payments can be deferred up to 6 months. 50% of the loan must be used towards payroll, and you need to retain at least 50% of your workforce for 6 months. For eligibility, this is, again, businesses all outside of the city of Chicago that received less than $3 million in revenue in 2019, and you have to have less than 50 employees. This will be based on the average employment over October 2019 to December 2019. You must also show that your business has experienced at least a 25% decrease in revenue as a result of the COVID-19. So with that, you're going to have to kind of provide bank statements going back to October 2019 and like showing any of your most recent tax returns. So if you have not filed for 2019 tax return, you'll need to provide at least 2018. And again, these are all applied directly with a local lender. So then for this one, this is for everyone that is in Chicago. This is the Chicago Small Business Resiliency Fund. There's about 100 million of limited funds for specifically for the city of Chicago. The requirements for this are pretty similar to the one that we have for Illinois, with just some slight differences. So this one was available as of March 31st, 2020. Some of the loan guidelines for this one: it is a 5-year term at a 1% interest rate for the first 18 months, but then after that, the interest rate will increase to 5.75%. This one is based on a 3-month average monthly revenue before the COVID-19 outbreak, also up to $50,000. Again, the funds for this also needs to be used 50% payroll, and you need to at least retain 50% of your workforce for 6 months as well.
Hey, Lily, can I ask a quick question? Yeah. Catherine just wants to be real clear on the 75-25 split for the loans to be granted back. So we know 75% needs to be like your payroll costs, your healthcare, that type of thing. The other 25%, I know it covers rent, utilities. Is there another portion that it does cover?
I think it was interest on mortgage.
And then is it interest on equipment as well?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry.
So this is, I'll go back to that slide.
Lovely.
So this is the interest on mortgage obligations.
Perfect. There you go. And then everybody, I will be sending out this presentation too. So I know you're probably writing furiously, but no worries. We'll make sure that you get that as well. Thanks, Lily.
Yeah, and I think you said that you'll also be covering, you'll be recording these, right? As well.
Exactly. Perfect. Thanks, Lily.
Great. So does anyone have any questions regarding, I think, the unemployment or any of the Chicago or Illinois emergency funds at the moment?
Not seeing anything, so I think you can move on. Okay. Thanks, Lily.
Cool. So I think that pretty much covers as far as what we have for state versus federal support. So also we wanted just to kind of share the different types of financial statements that might be asked for, applying for any of these loans. For instance, like the income statement, this is also known as kind of like a P&L or a profit and loss statement. The income statement kind of shows like what you're bringing in as your revenue and minus all of your expenses over a given time. So then at the end, you'll see kind of that net profit. The statement of cash flow, it kind of shows your inflow and your outflow of cash over a given period. So like I said, we'll be showing that kind of cash flow template, and it'll be available for you to download as well. But this is pretty much just showing how much cash you have on hand, and if there's any risk or fraud or theft is kind of significantly elevated. There's also a balance sheet. This is kind of showing the financial position of a business that kind of lists the assets versus liabilities, showing that kind of the owner's equity at a particular point in time. We will also have this available on the Dermalogica In This Together website as well, to kind of give you guys a sample template to work with.
Lily, we have actually a couple questions.
Oh, okay.
Catherine wants to make sure that she should just go to her bank and then see if she can apply through them, right?
Yes, so it does have to be a SBA, I think, lender. So just making sure, so definitely reach out to your bank. Mm-hmm. I heard from a lot of like my friends that are in banking that a lot of the bigger banks like BOA and things like that are pretty tied up at the moment, since it did, I think, launch last Friday.
Mhm.
So, you know, just be kind of patient. But I would definitely check to make sure first that they are able to kind of process this loan.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then so it's typically better to have go to a bank that you already have an account with. I think it's
Mhm.
just easier for them to kind of confirm your, you know, your salary and all of that information personally.
I don't know if you'll know the answer, but have you seen any trend of how long it is taking to get the actual loans funded?
That is still, I think, up in the air, and it's definitely varying by, I think, the different banks. I've heard that um, this is kind of giving you the general information of what's available, but I think just it's really important to talk to your banks because I think there might be some things that vary from bank to bank. But yeah, there's no really clear definition on how long it's going to be take to get these approvals at the moment.
Very true. And then Karen was asking, if she gets both the PPP and the EIDL loans, should she
Mhm.
keep them in separate accounts then, or put them all in one?
That's a good question. I think as long as you can probably define how you're spending the two. So, I mean, in order for you to get the two, you're not using these for the same purpose. So if you wanted to use the EIDL to do kind of like your capital and rent and all of that, you can kind of, as long as you know like the total amount and how you're using that money. But it might be smart to kind of open two accounts as well. So if there's a clear definition, it's just as long as you can kind of have that clear bookkeeping.
Perfect. Thank you. And then Lorraine is asking if there's a version of this presentation for Philadelphia. We don't have one quite yet. There's a lot of states.
Actually, it's great. So I actually have a slide on here as well for additional useful links.
Oh, you're so
So
good. Love it.
yeah, so this is actually just specifically, this section here is just for Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually taking you just to great summary pages. This is also one just specifically for unemployment insurance and like taking account of all those new COVID-19 changes. This I actually also included a active lenders list. So this is all the SBA approved lenders in Illinois, and it includes like their phone numbers and everything like that. So hopefully that's a useful sheet for you guys. But like I said, if you guys don't fall in those in the states that we've covered so far, I do have a link for support options by state. So I think this makes it really easy for you guys to just go on here and then see what's available by state for you guys.
Lovely. Thank you
And
so
then
much.
this is like a link as well, just for the going over those two loans that I kind of
Mm-hmm.
covered earlier.
Perfect. All right. Back to you, Miss Lily.
Yeah, and then so some other things that we have here too, like I mentioned, this is the cash flow template. Like I said, Stuart has already done a very thorough walkthrough. So this is kind of a link of the Dermalogica in this together session that he did. It's a very long and great source of information. But if you just want to go directly to the cash flow template section, I have here that you can just skip to the 1 hour, 26-minute mark, and then you can just start listening from there. This is also including the template download. So this is kind of the Dermalogica website where we have all the financial planning decks. So along with a lot of great resources, this is where you can also find the balance sheet template, the cash flow template, the landlord letter from our legal team. So that's all in this in this link as well. Sorry, I can't hear you. Oh, sorry.
Muted and then unmuted. Too many mutes. Any other questions from anyone else in the group? Do you want Lily to recap on anything? Anything that pertains maybe to you for your own location? Anything that you have for your finance balance sheet? Anything? We are open.
And then within also the presentation too, we also kind of included the last two states that we did. So this presentation deck will also include the unemployment for the New York, New Jersey, and the California.
Perfect. Alice is wondering, would working capital include marketing costs?
Marketing costs, I'm not too sure. I don't think it does, but I can get back to you on that one.
Perfect. So Alice, I'm thinking you're wondering for like ads or paying for like a boost on Facebook or Instagram. Thinking, is that the marketing that you're specifying? And then Maggie has a question. Oh, so Alice says, I work with a regular company and have a regular monthly bill with them. Oh, okay. So Lily, she has a regular marketing agency that she works with that she has a standard monthly bill. So she's just wondering if that would be covered.
So is that kind of just like a monthly retainer that?
I believe so.
I'm not sure that marketing cost is covered here, but I definitely, I'm not 100% sure, so I'll definitely look into that and I'll send an answer out.
Perfect.
Probably
Alice, we'll get
email.
back to you. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And then Maggie, Maggie, did you want to unmute yourself or did you want me to ask the question?
Hi everyone, this is Maggie.
Hi, Maggie.
So after I had become an esthetician, I went to school for electrology and I pretty much financed it through my credit card. So I've been paying on that, but I was wondering if you know offhand if any of those loans or grants are available for something of that nature, like schooling or tuition or anything like that.
I don't believe those particular loans are used for that, but I would probably talk to maybe the loan provider of your for your schooling and see if there's anything that you can negotiate with them as far as maybe like extending the terms or maybe like deferring some payments for a couple months. So I would definitely suggest going through that, because I know that there a lot of companies are taking the COVID-19 into consideration, and a lot of them are trying to help where they can. I can't speak for all of them, but it's definitely worthwhile to reach out to them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then I think this kind of falls in line with what Alice was asking about. Karen's asking, would website maintenance be covered as like the monthly fee that they have to pay to keep their website up and running?
Yeah, so I think that kind of follows with like the whole marketing support. It doesn't, so with these guidelines, it's not like a full handbook that we're receiving. So I think they're kind of working through these as these kind of come along. But I mean, we are working with like a couple of specialists. So I'll definitely like either try to research this or kind of run this by them and see like where they can kind of, if that applies or not.
You've got it. Thank you. So Karen, we'll be able to get back to you hopefully, I'm assuming in the next couple of days, just because it's Thursday and then it goes into the weekend, but definitely by the beginning of next week if we needed to reach out to our agency that we've been working with. All right, anything else? Perfect. Lily, anything else you want to cover before we close for the day?
I think that was pretty much a good amount of what I wanted to cover.
Wonderful.
Like I said, and you'll be kind of sharing all of the links and everything as well too.
You got it. Oh, Amanda, did you want to ask a question?
No, thank you.
Oh, all right, not a problem. All right, everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us. We are going to try to get all of this information out to you, kind of the big picture information, hopefully by the end of today, if not by tomorrow. And then a lot of this is just going to be up on that In It Together website. Be on the lookout for an email from me that will give you the direct link to that. And then that will also give you the direct link to myself to ask questions. Lily's email will be on there. Stuart, who's our CFO, Ambrose, who is our Director of Finance, and then Natasha, who is supporting us as well, who's a finance manager. So just be on the lookout for an email, and please feel free to reach out to us anytime. We really appreciate your time and really appreciate everything that you guys have been going through. Oh, and just so you know, my name is actually not Cecile Monet. I accidentally logged in as Cecile today. My name is Celeste Porter, and I'm the Director of Operations and Education. So we are here to support and just want to make sure you guys are taken care of during this this time. And we are in it together. Have a great one, everybody.
Thank you so much.